Hi, I'm Tom, I'm 18, from Manchester, and there's 500,000 youngsters on benefits, and today it's payday. Just come out of the job centre, got the weekly benefit. Most young people get £50.95. It's not a lot, but you got to make it last. I do want to get a job, but how much I earn depends what job I get. Check this out. There's loads of adverts for cleaning jobs in Manchester, so how much will I get if I push that knob? Around £200 per week, £869 per month, that's £10,428 per year. Not many people like bank managers after the financial crash, but how much does a bank manager make? £1,117 per week, £4,843 per month, that's £58,125 per year. Not many people can handle the ball like Rooney, that's why they pay good money for doing his skills. The average Premiership footballer earns £13,000 per week, £56,000 per month. That's a mouth-watering £676,000 per year. Not all work is paid for. 62% young people volunteer at least once a year. I got my benefits. If I don't know about the economy, I'm not looking after my money. That's why I'm meeting Kieran Maguire to find out how the economy can affect my life. Everyone's talking about the credit crunch. What does it mean for normal people?
Well, what happened with the credit crunch was that the banks lent a lot of money to people who couldn't repay, and the banks nearly went bust, so the governments had to come in and rescue them. And the problem we've got now is that the banks are afraid to lend money to people like you and me, and they're afraid to lend money to companies, so companies aren't employing people, and the banks aren't letting us borrow money for mortgages and things like that.
How's it going to affect my chances of finding work and what people are doing to help me?
Well, the government's spending an awful lot of money on sort of government agency things. So we're here in the North West, we've got the North West Regional Development Agency, and that's setting up programmes for people to help them find work. The government's also spending more money on the hospitals, on schools, on the police force and things like that. So you've got the government as an employer is trying to make up for the people in the private sector who aren't employing as many. So you find in the short term, there's more people working in the public sector. In the longer term, I think companies will start employing again.
When I find a job and get taxed, how much do I get taxed and what does it get spent on?
Well, the first few £1,000s of your income doesn't get taxed at all, but then the government roughly taxes 20%, and if you start to earn a lot of money like a footballer, you'll be paying tax at 40% or even 50%. So Wayne Rooney, half of his money is going in tax that he earns. If you're a cleaner or if you're working in a less well-paid job, it's normally about 20%. Now that money goes on all the public services. So it goes on education, it goes on health, it goes on the police, it goes on fighting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, it goes on the roads and all the things that the government provides for us.
Can you tell me what shares are and how they work?
Well, what happens is when you buy shares in a company, you're effectively buying a little slice of a company. And what the company does with that money, it builds new factories and it builds new products and it tries to make a profit. And because you've got a slice of the company, you get a slice of that profit at the same time.
How does that compare with a cooperative?
Well, the difference between a cooperative and a company is that a cooperative, the workers own the company, so any profits it make, the workers share those and they plough it back into the business, trying to make the business grow. So some people prefer companies, some people prefer cooperatives. They're just different ways of doing broadly the same things, of the ways of putting money into a business.
Okay, so economics affects everything I do. So I've asked life coach Paul Ryder to give me a few tips how to handle my money. How much does the average person spend in the shop each year?
Well, we don't actually know how much people spend in the shops, but we do know that most people spend far too much. You're looking at clothes, you're looking at beer, you're looking at cigarettes, and unfortunately so many stores today are going to give you store cards, which is going to get you in debt very quickly.
Can you tell me 3 ways how to save money?
Do a budget, so you're actually monitoring your money. Every time you spend something, list it down, because a lot of people end up in debt because they don't actually record what they're actually spending. The 3 things that most people will spend far too much on is like public transport. So, rather than getting a train or a taxi, you could walk or maybe cycle. Keep yourself fit as well. Next one that most people spend the money on is food. So, maybe takeaways or fast food. So you can maybe go to the shop and cook your own food or make your own sandwiches. And the third one really that most people spend the money on is clothing. Do you actually need those jeans that will cost you £70 or that shirt will be £50? Could you buy clothes that look good but maybe not as expensive?
Today I've learned that I need to manage my money. If I don't look after my money, no one else will. Now I know how the economy works, I can decide on my future. With all this new knowledge, I'm off to look for a job.